Imagine this. You're at school. You walk into class, and your high school science teacher says, "You know that paper due today? Actually, turn it in whenever you'd like. Next week, next month, whenever's good for you." Wouldn't that be nice? Well, college admissions are exactly like that. Did you know you can choose the college application deadline by which you want to submit your application? There are various deadlines for college applications, usually ranging from October to January each year. Some colleges even have late application deadlines going into February and March. You can pick the one that works best for you. There's no correct deadline choice for everyone. Each has its advantages and disadvantages. The one you choose depends on your priorities and what schools you are targeting during the college application process. The number of different college application deadlines has totally grown and proliferated since I was a high school student. There are a lot of acronyms floating around for the different deadlines, and it can be confusing to understand what each one means. This video will be extremely helpful for parents and high school seniors attempting to understand all the different deadlines. In this video, I'm going to explain each deadline choice, the advantages, the disadvantages, as well as the catch you should be aware of. There are at least 5 different types of deadlines for college admissions in the United States. They all come with their own benefits and caveats. So here are the 5 types of standard admissions deadlines. Early decision, or ED, early action, or EA, restrictive early action, or REA, regular decision, or RD, and rolling deadlines. These can be broken down even further into early decision 1 and 2, early action 1 and 2, restrictive early action, regular decision, and rolling deadlines. Oh my gosh, so many! Let's slow down to explain them all. First, I'd like to talk about what is early versus regular in college admissions. Early means submitting your application in the early fall, typically October, but it could be November of a school year. Regular admissions means submitting by the regular deadline, which is typically January 1st. Like I said, there are some schools who have deadlines later than January 1st, but the top colleges in the United States typically have an early January regular decision deadline. First, let's talk about early decision. Early decision means that you are going to apply early and you want the college to make its decision about you early. Early decision is like getting married. Once you say "I do," as long as the college also wants you, you're pretty much in it for life. So use this option only for your first choice school. There's an early fall deadline. You turn in your application early and the college gives you a decision early. The decision can be yes, no, or defer. Defer means that your application is deferred or pushed over to the regular decision pool. If the decision is a yes, you are bound to that school. You cannot change your mind to go anywhere else. That's why I say it's like being married. If you're accepted early decision, you cannot apply to any other schools and you cannot attend any other schools. So if you're applying to your dream school early decision, it makes sense. But don't apply to a school early decision unless it is your absolute dream school and you are 1000% sure about the commitment you're making, because you cannot take it back. Some schools have multiple early decision deadlines called early decision 1 and early decision 2. 1 will be the earlier deadline and 2 will be the later deadline. Here are the pros of early decision. Find out early if you got into your first choice school. If you got in, you can spend the rest of your senior year enjoying yourself. You don't have to think about more applications or anything else. You're done. If you get into a school early decision, you have to enroll. Most early decision programs say that you cannot apply to any other school early. Why? Because if you're admitted early decision to one school, you cannot accept another offer of admission from another school. Early action. Early action means that you are going to take action early by sending in your application, but you have freedom to apply to other schools and change your mind if you want to go somewhere else. This is a great non-binding option to find out early whether you got into a school. There's an early fall deadline. You turn in your application early, and the college gives you their decision early. If their decision is yes, you can still choose to go to another school if you change your mind when you've applied early action. The college's decision can be yes, no, or defer. Some schools have multiple early action deadlines called Early Action 1 and Early Action 2. Early Action 1 is the earlier deadline and Early Action 2 is the later deadline. What are the pros of early action? You find out early if you got into your first choice school. You can still change your mind, but you have the advantage of knowing early on in the semester. What's the catch? You have less time to complete your application. If you are rejected early action, some schools will defer you to the regular pool, just like with early decision. Also, other schools may issue an outright rejection for early action, where you cannot reapply to that school for the same school year. I think early action is a great option for the student who has finished their college application over the summer and who is about 80 or 90% confident what their dream school is, but also knows that their dream school might change. Personally, I think senior year is a really transformative time period. It's a transformative age where your values and goals might change, and that's a good thing. So I think it's advantageous to give yourself wiggle room for changing your mind about your dream school. You might go on a campus visit to a school you never considered before and fall in love with it. That happened to me. For the student who has a dream school but is keeping an open mind and still wants to know early whether they got into their top school, early action is a great choice. Restrictive early action. Now, we just said that early decision binds you to a school and early action does not. So what is restrictive early action? It sounds confusing. Some schools offer restrictive early action, which basically restricts you from applying early anywhere else. This is another non-binding option to find out early whether you got into a school, but with a twist. You can only apply to one school using restrictive early action. Restrictive early action is kind of like getting engaged. You can still break up and go your separate ways without committing to each other, but you can't, or you're not supposed to, get engaged to more than one person at once. So, similarly, you're not committed to a school by applying restrictive early action, but you can only apply REA to one school. There's an early fall deadline. You turn in your application early and the college gives you a decision early. Again, the decision can be yes, no, or defer. If the decision is yes for a restrictive early action application, you can still choose to go to another school if you change your mind. The pros are similar to the application types we talked about before. You find out early if you got into your first choice school and you can still change your mind. What's the catch? You have less time to complete your application. If you use REA for one school, you cannot apply early to any other schools. This means early action and early decision. Again, if you are rejected REA, you might be deferred or you might be rejected outright where you can't reapply for the same school year. I think restrictive early action is a great choice for the student who is pretty sure about their top choice school, has taken all their standardized tests, and has been primarily working on the application for that top choice school. Since you can only apply restrictive early action to one school, it makes sense to put all your focus on that single school's application early in the fall semester. So we're talking late August, September, October. Put all your effort into that school during the late summer and early fall. Then you can apply to your second and third choice school's regular decision and focus on those applications before the regular decision deadline. Regular decision. Regular decision is the type of application most of us are familiar with. This is a December or January deadline, usually during winter break, usually early January, when most students apply to colleges. There are no restrictions on you. No restrictions on how many schools you can apply to. No binding restrictions on you to attend any of the schools that accept you. You can use regular decision for all your schools or only for those schools which are not your first choice. You turn in your application by the early January deadline, and the decision can be accept, defer, or waitlist. The advantages of regular decision are you get more time, the maximum amount of time to complete your application. The cons, you don't know early whether you got in, so you will receive notice from colleges in early spring, typically in April. I think regular decision is the right choice for the student who wants to pace themselves, to not rush, and to submit their best possible application essays and the entire rest of the application. It's also the right choice for the student who doesn't necessarily know their first choice school and wants to see what each school has to offer in terms of majors, extracurricular activities, scholarships. I personally applied to all colleges regular decision way back when I applied, just because I didn't want to rush and I wanted to submit my best possible application. And for me, it paid off. But if you want to retake any of your standardized tests to improve your scores, if you're still retaking them right now, we're in late September, about to be October now, I highly recommend that you consider regular decision because you won't have to rush and you will have time to complete your application and turn everything in by early January. Now let's talk about rolling admissions. So rolling admissions is over here, and then all the other deadlines like regular decision, early action, restrictive early action, early decision are over here. Rolling admissions are different. Rolling admission schools have no actual deadline. Instead of specifying an admissions deadline, rolling admission schools will say that they are open for applications until the admitted class fills up. The enrolling class of that year. Rolling admissions rolls along as the days go by. So in theory, you could turn in your application at any time. But in reality, the key to getting into a rolling admissions school is to turn in your application as early as possible. Even though a school says that they will accept applications until that year's class is filled, students who are really eager to attend that school will be turning in their applications in the early fall. So if you wait until January, February, the spring deadline, your chance of admission is significantly less than students who had their ducks in a row, all their application materials in order, and who went ahead to submit early in the fall. What are the pros of rolling admissions? Rolling admissions gives you the absolute most time to complete your application. Rolling admission schools will say you can submit your application all the way up until the class is filled. So you have the most time to write your essays, get your recommendation letters, and turn everything in. What's the catch? You do have more time, but not that much more time. It's best to turn in your application as early as possible, even for rolling admissions. Never wait until the last minute to submit a rolling admissions application. Which one do I choose? Some college advisors say that applying early shows a school that it is your first choice and increases your likelihood of being admitted. While this might be true in some cases, I advise students to only apply early if your application is ready. That means fully proofread, edited, and revised, and you do not plan on retaking any standardized tests to increase your score before the deadline. Applying to a school early with an application that you don't feel confident about, I think, is counterproductive. In my experience, it's better for a school to see you as competitive, the candidate that everyone wants. If you are the candidate that every school wants, schools will have to poach you from other schools by offering you better scholarship offers. In this ideal scenario, you don't have to worry about showing the college that they're your top choice because colleges will be reaching out to you, trying to make sure you see them as a viable option. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope that it has clarified for you the difference between early decision, early action, restrictive early action, regular decision, and rolling admissions. It can be a little complicated, but I hope this video cleared things up for you. If you have absolutely any questions about college admissions or the various deadlines, feel free to send me a message. My email is down below the screen. You can also set up a free coaching call with me. The link for that is down below also. Thanks for watching. I hope you have an amazing day. Bye-bye.